What's up, everyone, and welcome to the final episode of Parked Podcast presented by DGA. My name is Mitch Phillips. Joining me is Zach Harrison. It's the last one of the season. The season is over as we are recording this. Disc Golf Pro Tour has come to a close. What a finish. What a finish it was at the championships, at the USDGC. Gannon Buhr cements himself as the best player of the season, best player in the world. It's not a question anymore. And Big Money Missy comes in once again, living up to the nickname. Sometimes I don't like the nickname, and other times I'm like, yeah, it's because it's true.
It's so real.
It's because it's real. Zach, man, how are you, dude? We were in person, got to hang out with the fam, hang out with DGA people, hang out with everybody for the whole week of USDGC. How are you, dude? You still resting? Are you back in a normal thing? Because you were at USDGC for what, like 8 weeks?
I was gone 8 days.
Yeah,
so
truly.
It felt like 8 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Still very happy. Just a week of disc golf with the buddies.
Oh yeah.
Charlotte's an amazing city. Rock Hill's an amazing city.
Mm-hmm.
There were so many cool things that happened. Got to reconnect with a lot of the people that I know from Slow Play.
Yeah.
And which is the brewery across from Winthrop University. There's amazing people.
Oh yeah. Come on.
Actually, quick throwback to it, Mitchie.
Do it.
2 years ago, Mitch and I were at Slow Play and we picked up a board game called the Disc Golf Board Game. We saw this. We're like, this is hilarious. It's the Disc Golf Board Game.
Sitting on a table. Someone left
sitting
it.
on a barrel.
Yeah.
And we were like, we have to open this. So we opened it, and all of a sudden this guy comes and was like, hey guys, you want to play this board game? He left it there as bait. Well, 2 years have gone by, a whole Kickstarter campaign. And this is the very first rendition of Chains.
Renamed Chains. I love it.
Chains, dude. So it's actually really awesome. I brought it back to the brewery. I set it out. I drew some people in.
Tried to do the same product placement, genius marketing plan.
It was awesome. And have had a couple of chats with Callum because he shipped me his only available copy in the world.
And that's still true right now. That is the only physical copy, period.
The only physical copy, because all the other ones are being shipped over right now.
The owner creator of the board game that we met that night, Callum. He's from Canada, right?
Yeah, British Columbia.
Yeah.
Vancouver.
And so gave you some reason, freaking Zach Harrison in Marietta, Georgia said, hey, you need the only copy of that. That's incredible.
The only copy, because he wanted it to be at USDGC. So I brought it.
Sick.
We played it.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Really, really good, like throwback to our first trip there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, I'm actually drinking on a beer that we got while we were out in Charlotte. Okay. It's Resident Culture.
Nice.
Which is the brewery that I was telling you about.
Yeah, you were texting me about this last night.
Yeah, so Resident Culture and Wooden Robot, which is another Charlotte-based brewery, made a beer that is a Dortmunder style lager.
Ooh, okay.
And it's called Despite the Dysfunction, which is actually the perfect name. I didn't know what a Dortmunder style lager is. Let me read.
All I think about is Borussia Dortmund, the soccer team. That's all I think about.
That's really, I thought the city. I'm like, cool, it's a city. Why was it so special? Why is it their own version? In the 19th century, German industrial workers were drinking a lot of lager, and they needed something like refreshing and light, and their water levels at that time had a lot of sulfur.
Yummy.
So the water gave the beer a sulfuric flavor.
Of course.
Had I have not known this, I wouldn't have been able to like flavor profile that out of the beer. What it does though is it makes it kind of light at the very end. You know, you get these like malty notes up front. It's like very crisp and refreshing. And then all of a sudden it gets dry, almost like a white wine would get dry at the very end.
Love it.
And dude, honestly, it's really good. I like it a lot. It would pair perfect with cheese. If you like cheese, it would be great. But anyway, had a great time. Love that I got to experience Charlotte and the courses around there and the breweries.
Yeah, you guys played a ton, dude. What was the top course you played in Charlotte?
Westminster takes it every time.
Really?
It's
okay. I haven't played that one yet.
A great course, man. They do the USDGC doubles between Westminster and Winthrop Gold.
Okay.
And so, yeah, Westminster is great because in Charlotte, it's a lot of heavily wooded golf. And it's like tight lines and long, windy fairways. Right. And it has that. It still holds true, but it opens up with these beautiful rolling hills. You get elevated shots from probably 50 to 80 feet above the basket, like 500-foot par 3 style. And it's just really fun to get out there and stretch your arm out after playing places like Nevin or Scrapyard, where it's mostly like flex lines through the trees.
Sweet.
So,
Good to know.
Yeah,
I'll put that on the list
Westminster's
of ones to
#1 for
play.
me.
Heck yeah. Well, I'm sipping on, you mentioned slow play. I figured it was only fitting that I don't have the IPA right now. I do have it in my fridge, but right now I'm drinking on the Back Nines American Light Lager. And this is some of the coolest can art that Ben and Ron and the team have ever created. I'm showing it here if you're watching on YouTube. But it is truly not only the Back Nine, but the entire USDGC course to scale with pins, with the lake, with the baskets, with the tee pads,
walking path.
Yeah, the walking path, everything. It is so cool. Like, I will definitely be draining one of these and keeping it on the shelf because it's just one of the coolest cans I've ever seen. It's an American Light Lager, 4.2%, so it's water. Anything under 5 you can drink at 9 a.m., right? But it's pretty incredible to see the course laid out on a beer can. I mean, they're the official 19th hole of the USDGC, just a 5-minute drive from the course. So super cool that they threw that on there, and they literally have the tiny little 19th hole on the bottom of it, which is pretty cool. They host stuff all week. So if you're in USDGC, we mentioned it, but definitely go hang out with, I mean, they're pretty much family at this point. We love the people,
Absolutely.
love the bartenders, love everything that's going on at Slow Play. It's the place to be for USDGC. So really cool to see this beer. And I mean, I love that they did a light lager this year. In the previous years, they've done a seltzer for Throw Pink, and they've done an IPA for USDGC. But to have this one in the mix, it's definitely one of my favorite lagers. Nice and sweet, and just American light lager. So I'm enjoying it, and I already miss it, man. I love being there. It's such a good place.
I know. It's hard to leave.
Yeah, truly. Well, fall is upon us. We're going to recap the USDGC and the Pro Tour Championship and the season just as a whole. But dude, fall's the best season for disc golf. We just gotta say it. It is truly nothing like it when your plastic kind of changes texture a little bit. There's a little frigid in the air. You get to play with some leaves. You got to take the lighter orange, the non-woods color discs. You got to take them out because
that's right.
You'll lose them for sure. But the leaves are falling. I love being on social media for disc golf and being a part of that thing this time of year because it's just gorgeous. I mean, fall disc golf is my favorite thing. So I'm thankful the season's over. We can take a breath and kind of get back to just like playing and enjoying the sport. It's a grind. Like, I feel like as a player, like, I can't imagine being on tour the whole time. Everyone's taking a breath. So I just wanted to say fall's here. It's a little chilly in the air. We're close to 80 here in Georgia. But with that, we also got hockey coming, which I did not realize that your friend groups were this deep into hockey, bro.
Oh yeah. Well, a lot of them come from New York.
Okay. Well, there you go. They were going hard on the hockey. And I myself had to wear my Lightning hat today, even though they got destroyed last night by the Leafs. It's okay. We'll make it through. But it's a great season for disc golf. It's a great season for sports changing. So I'm excited for this. And the off season is upon us. Like I said, this will be the last, scheduled episode, if you will, for Park. So thank you all for hanging with us the whole year long. Before we get into this, just want to say thank you to Zach, and thank you to DGA and Gage and everybody behind the scenes for everything happening. It's been such an awesome ride. We're on episode 16 this year, and just been such an absolute honor to be a part of. So definitely wanted to just get that out of the way. I'm not going to cry. Maybe at the end, we'll see how the tears flow. But Zach, we talked about this. We didn't do an episode last week, USDGC, but you were saying, how are we not going to recap this? I wore my championship t-shirt. The merch was a little bit less cheesy this year. I feel like sometimes USDGC, it's a little bit wild and of a big graphics, but this year it was like, give me clean, give me sports, looking just like nice stuff. So Zach, hit us with some stats. Also, you wrote these down physically. You have some paper and pen.
Not only did I write it down, it's in a composition notebook. All right, dude.
Yes.
I'm doing
Let's
it real.
go.
This is sixth grade or bust.
Yeah. If you saw Zach at USCGC, he's got long hair. He looked like he was just taking notes on how to rob people in the parking lot, but he actually was taking notes of the course.
You also probably saw me standing between Gannonbur's legs in his championship photo. So
that needs to go up on the. We'll put it up on the on Park's Instagram. It is.
There. Oh,
It's now a tradition. We did it on accident the years before, and that photo just gets reused again and again. But truly, you are splitting the wickets of Gannonburg.
Right between his legs, man.
You're like a Yoshi egg just popping out, and it's Zach's head. It's so funny looking. It's so great.
It's definitely my favorite thing.
Oh,
but
goodness.
you also get to watch the long distance over the water, and they're like throwing right over your head. It's awesome.
Yeah, the sound.
Perfect opportunity to get some slow-mo. Yeah, the snaps.
Oh man, ridiculous.
But these storylines were crazy, man. I really thought I don't know. I really thought AB was going to close out on like in the lead on the final day. I thought he had it, and had a really bad front nine. Looked insanely out of sorts. Only shot 1 under on the front nine with 2 bogeys. And then Eagles hole 10. So it's like, all right, things are picking up. He's, getting back in the lead, I think, at that point. And then immediately shanks right into the bushes.
That was crazy. Like I wasn't filming it, and I was so upset I wasn't, but I was standing probably 20 feet from the tee pad, and I was like, was this a joke? Was this for content? Like, I mean, completely yanked it.
It was really shocking because, I mean, you're so used to seeing him throw like 600-foot bombs, right? Like hole 12, the next hole, he's just mashing.
Yep.
And this one goes immediately into the bushes,
that's out of bounds now, isn't it?
Yes. In the past, it wasn't out of bounds until you got to the other side of the bushes.
Yep.
And so I think, I don't know, someone figured it out, or they saw when Yuli played it, the forehand from the other side of the bushes. That was a funny one. But he just really couldn't pick it up. And that's what I think was the saddest thing to see. Like, I wanted him to at least get something going. And then, on 14, he's in the hazard, misses his putt, ends up with a bogey, and finishes with, 15, 16, and 18. But it was just too late, man. Yeah, it was too late. He ends up only losing by 2 strokes, which is wild to think, because he ended up bogeying hole 11 with that shank into the bushes. So if he just cleans that up and then maybe avoids one of the OBs that he has in the final round, he really had it. I mean, he even like missed the Mando on 7, like little things like that, right? And he ended up, I mean, first with 0 double bogeys on the entire tournament. That was impressive for maybe. Although
to save on 11 is crazy. That second shot he had after being not even 40 feet off the tee.
Exactly.
Yeah. To save there is pretty wild. And I mean, to say he didn't have a single double bogey, there's few players, I would say less than 5 in the tournament made it without a double bogey.
I think there were 8 actually.
Really? Okay. Yeah, there you go.
Which is surprising.
That was a total guess. So I mean,
but out of 122 people, right, only 8
over 4 rounds on easily the most OB course ever.
Humongous. I mean, the lines alone, and then you throw in hazard on top of it. Like it's just, it happens all the time.
Of course.
He ended up 4th in birdie percentage, 3rd in fairway hits, but was way down the list in C1X. He ended up at 86% C1X, which, I mean, for me, I'm pretty happy with over a 4-round tournament.
Of course.
But for him, that's 8 strokes. If he can just clean up inside the circle. So definitely sad to see. But I mean, Gannon, here he comes, dude. Who is going to stop this guy?
Yeah, I mean,
like all of his stats, I'm about to run through them. They are insane.
Yep.
I just don't know who can beat him. I thought it was Ricky, and we're going to talk about that. I mean, it's just crazy to see how it all happens. But
yeah, there are flashes of players who we think can do it, and we'll talk about this in our season recap here in a bit. And there's a couple of thoughts I have about Anthony Barella just on that came to mind. But there are flashes of players. Oh wow, they're as good as Gannon. Oh wow, they can do it. But here's the thing: they're as good as Gannon for a couple holes. or 4-1 round.
Couple
Calvin
rounds,
Heimberg
maybe.
shoots 13 under, jumping 4 spots to tie for second there. But dude, the rest of his tournament just kind of But
Right.
Gannon Burr consistency over the entire year is really what did it. So hit us with the stats of Gannon, because this is about to be stupid.
Yeah. So, I mean, going into that final round, he didn't really need a hot round. He just needed to like play decent because he was only down by 1.
Right.
But then he's 5 under through 9 holes. And then, he's got a 3-stroke lead. So then by hole 13, he's got 5 strokes to play with and 5 holes to finish. So here are his final stats here. Number 1 in fairway hits, 87% fairway hits, 66 out of 76 fairways. Again, the tightest course, one of the tightest courses. Number 1 in circle 2 in regulation, 74% of the time.
Yep.
74%. Strokes gained, C1X. He get 5 strokes in C1X. And then this dude, mind-blowing. Strokes gained, tee to green. Just a stab. Take a stab.
16.
25.
What?
You don't really see that. Like, I don't
not
ever,
in that course.
I don't ever find someone with that many strokes gained.
Wow.
But he was just lacing lines.
Yeah.
And he's so good at just placing the shot where he wants it to land. Only second in bogey.
Yeah. And I think you hit the nail on the head with he's placing shots where he wants to land. We've talked about it a lot over the years, and there's a couple players here from Finland that were in the top 10, had great tournaments. And Gannon, his drives are starting to feel more and more and more European. He's matching the angle. He's not playing for big skips. He had these years of the flex shot. He had the years of, that's how I can get the most distance. This is the future of disc golf. He's changed that. He's gone to the hyzer flip. He's gone to, I'm not playing for skip. I'm playing for high percentage, matching the ground, putting it where I need to get it. And that's how you hit, 70 something fairways or 66 out of 76 fairways. Like, you don't do that with the manicured level of a course like USGGC unless you're purposely playing that way. And it's impressive. No one else is doing that. No one is playing with that much intentionality that consistently. No one.
Yeah, it is the consistency, I think. And that's what these stats are really showing me, is like, whether he has a great round and is starting at the top or starting on lead card, I don't think it matters.
Yeah.
Because by the end of 4 rounds, we've seen it this season, he will just keep climbing.
Yeah. If he doesn't DNF, he's in the running.
That's pretty much always, man.
Yeah, for sure.
He was first in his scramble percentage. He was second in C1X. He was second in bogey percentage. Like, the only negative to his entire tournament was C2 putting. He was only 22%.
Just so rare for him.
Which is very rare. He actually lost strokes in C2, which is crazy to think, but he gained so many on the fairways it didn't matter.
Right.
And then he did have 8 OB strokes, which was pretty high. But comparing that to his fairway hits, he only missed the fairway twice that wasn't an OB stroke.
Yeah.
So it's like he's pretty much putting himself in the right spot, but that place just has crazy OB.
Yeah, and there's multiple times where you can, yes, you're OB, you're in the hazard, but you're able to save par. Like, yes, that is considered a statistical off the fairway, but you're not necessarily losing strokes.
Right. Exactly. So, dude, it was just crazy to see, because like Gannon's stats really do prove that he is the best player out there. And now Vinny wasn't too far off, but honestly, man, round 2 for Vinny was just so rough. He didn't really turn it on. Like, round 1, 2, and 3 were pretty much the same, and then he just went lights out in the final round.
Dude, his back 9 is hilarious. In round 2, Calvin Heimberg's back 9 was 1 par, 7 birdies, and an 8. Like, what? I mean, literally, like, he gets an 8 on hole 12. That hole just destroyed some people. Like, I think who was it? There was a notable name that got like a 12 on it. I forget who it was. I think it was a European player that it was just like, huh?
Yeah.
I forget
who
it was.
On that hole
it's crazy.
Feels so good. It feels so good. I can't imagine anyone outside of people who are driving 600 off the tee who can actually birdie that. Like AB can actually birdie that because his shots on 12 were insane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure Gannon could do it if he wanted to like flex something out there. I bet Ricky could do it if he like put the right line on a general or whatever he's throwing. But just getting par is insane because you have to place everything, right? Every shot you're throwing has to be perfectly placed.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, man, it's just crazy to see because the stats really don't lie. He stacks up so much higher than everybody else, not only at USDGC but at other ones. Should we talk throw pink?
Let's do it. Let's jump into it just a little bit before we move past USDGC real quick. One that, I mentioned it previously. We had 3 Finnish players in the top 10. Väinö Mäkelä, what a tournament for Väinö.
Oh, yeah.
He shows up here pretty consistently, but beating the other 2 Finns by 4 strokes, tying for 5th with Isaac Robinson. I mean, you read through the top 5 here, Gannon Buhr, Calvin, Anthony Barela, Ricky, Isaac, Väinö. Like,
Väinö definitely stands out in that
And then
list.
you had Joona Heinonen had just he is a player that has just got to get more reps. He throws so freaking far and just got to get a couple more reps around the thing. And he's going to be in that conversation with, right behind him, tying with him for 7th, Niklas Anttila. And then we have a couple names that these guys just play well at USDGC. Adam Hamas always is, has a good round here and there. He had a fire 3rd round. Adam Hamas shooting 10 under, just jumping up, 15 spots in round 3. And then Paul McBeth. There was a time during this tournament I was like, McBeth could do it again. McBeth could really do it again, but he just couldn't stay consistent with it. From Monday qualifying to top 10, Drew Gibson, battling injuries all year long. Good to see him in the mix, but jump down a couple here. Our very own here at DGA, Andrew freaking Miranda, from Monday qualifying to top 15 finisher. I got to walk with him a lot, did a lot of content with him, had a reel go out on Parked. And man, just the confidence. Final round, 100% C1X putting. His putting all week, 10 for 11 round 2, 9 for 11 round 3, 100%, 11 for 11. And the only thing that kept him from making a couple more jumps was circle 2. His circle 2, 0% round 3, one out of 8. His C2 was probably sub 20% the whole tournament, and he had a lot. This course gives you a lot of C2s, so a couple little things. But to see Drew with confidence out there, it really gave me just a look at what's to come. The power of his forehand. 1 angle hyzer on hole 16 to 2 feet. It was insane. Watching him do that and just seeing somebody that's young, somebody that's pushing and just trying to make the name for themselves. This is a tournament to do it. To go from Monday qualifying to top 15 is crazy because getting in the top positions at this tournament, it doesn't happen. It really doesn't happen. So really cool to see.
He is so impressive too. And he's not a big person. He's actually pretty small. But his form is just so good that it doesn't matter. Yep. You don't need to power up. You don't need to be huge. Really, there were only a couple things in his tournament that took him from placing closer in the top 10. Really, it was a couple OB strokes and a few missed putts in round 1.
Yep.
The C1 putting. But gosh, man, I got to show him or say hey to him after round 2 when he shot 5 under.
Yep.
And climbed 14 spots on the leaderboard. I'm like, come on, man. Keep it up. And he's just so chill about it. He's like, oh yeah, so chill. Dude, it was good. I'm feeling good. I'm
pretty
excited.
Well.
Happy to be out here doing good. And that's just his attitude all the time, whether it's good or bad. So good shout out, man. I'm glad you pulled him up.
I pulled this video up real quick on my phone. Not the greatest format, but Gage put this in the chat just now. His aftershock shot on hole 4 was the prettiest shot I saw on tour this year. Coming from Gage, who was on tour for a majority of the year, he threw a first flight aftershock to freaking perfection. And I'm going to show the video of it on my camera right now. This thing was just stupid. Absolutely piped.
That is the hardest fairway, right? To get down in the entire course because everything
Yeah.
else is pretty open. He made that look so easy.
Dude, it was absurd. And I mean, Gage is right. It was one of the most ridiculously easy. Yeah, it was like a video game. I think we said that. Gage and I were walking. We're like, that felt like a video game. Like it was just point and shoot. Like you took your finger on the screen and just went whoop, and just like flicked it straight forwards. It was gorgeous. So the technicality of his game paired with the distance, paired with the consistency of that circle one putting, the future is bright. Future's bright for Andrew Miranda. So really cool. Let's hop over to Throw Pink real quick. Definitely want to get into Pro Tour Championships and get rolling with our season recap here, but hit me with some Throw Pink.
Yeah, man. Really, I mean, you have to be impressed with Kristen. She didn't bogey the same hole twice for the entire tournament. If she bogeyed a hole, she cleaned it up the next round. Number one in birdie percentage, 47% birdies.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone who would lose a tournament with 47% birdies, especially in the FPO division. Only 10 total bogeys out of 72 holes. That's only 14%. 2 double bogeys. 10 bogeys, 2 double bogeys. So really,
one of those double bogeys being a layup on hole 18 to
on
finish.
The final hole of the event. That's right. Number 2 in fairway hits, 86% fairway hits. Again, at Winthrop is unbelievably good. Number 1 in scramble, 50%. C1X, she was only number 4 at 85%. I think, I don't have it up right now, but I think most of that was in day 1 when the wind was super swirly that morning.
Yeah, the morning's the wind. I mean, the temperatures were 20-degree shift from FPO to MPO. This tournament was, I mean, they were cold.
It was pretty wild, honestly. I was a lot of layers every day. She was in C2 71% of the time. Only went out of bounds 5 times.
Yeah, crazy.
I don't know how you would lose out there with such clean stats and consistent putts. I absolutely love it. Another person I was super impressed with was Owen Scoggins. She's my favorite player. There's no doubt about it. I don't care if it's MPO or FPO. She's my favorite player of all time.
I love it.
0 double bogeys on the event for my girl Owen Scoggins.
Come on.
She was 4th in fairway hits, 85%. Way up there, just a few, just 1% down from Kristen. She was 2nd in circle 1 in regulation. That's something I don't think Owen gets that stat very often.
No, that's rare
because she makes her money putting from circle 2, right?
For sure.
So
because she doesn't throw as far.
She can't. Yeah, she just can't throw as far. And I guess out here she's able to kind of flex things out a little bit more because it's a little more open. But 85% fairway hits. C1 in regulation was 53%.
Yep.
So if you can birdie almost 53% of the holes, yes, always. She actually flopped a little bit in her putting. She was only 25% from circle 2 and less than 70% from C1.
Yeah, that was definitely the hardest part of her game. But again, putting on this course is not easy. There's so much danger behind so many of the baskets. And you're also finding yourself, like we said, close to that circle 2. And there's a lot of layups here because you don't want to go long. You don't want to roll down a hill. So there's a lot of times where it's like, I'm going to kind of run this, but I can't fully commit because of I would not even thinking about how many of the baskets are on a slope or how many baskets have hazard or out of bounds within the circle.
Yeah.
It's at least half the holes. It's pretty wild. It's not like World Championships wild, but it's close.
They do a good job of making those greens very difficult.
Very difficult. Evelina Salonen, I thought she was going to win this tournament. I thought she was going to be, 3 majors she would have won this year?
Yeah.
I mean, and almost 4. I mean, she barely lost European Open. So, I mean, it was very close to Evelina having a sweep on the majors. I mean, whatever. You throw pink, you know what I mean? But it was the 3rd and 4th round. She just didn't get it going. She started hot with the 7 under and then just kind of coasted at this 3 under, 2 under. But it was putting. Her tee to green was usually, it usually is close. Usually is, carries her fairway hits or, plus 75% probably for the weekend. But I watched her miss a couple of putts within nearly bullseye.
Yeah.
But then there was one putt she hit like a 90-footer that I saw her hit. I was like, what? Like, where is this? And I was standing next to Brian Schweby, and he looks at me. He goes, "She just needs to be further away every time." He said she needs to be worse at upshots. That's like what he said. He said that to me, and I was like, honestly, yeah, she needs to be worse at upshots,
man, because she was number 1 in C1 in regulation and C2 in regulation. 25 strokes gained. Green.
Good Lord.
25 strokes gained. Now putting, she lost 2.5 strokes.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. I mean, between her and Own, that's second place for her.
For sure.
If she can just gain those strokes back. Right. But gosh, dude, she had 19 putts from circle 2. And she only made one of them.
And I bet it was the one that I saw. Well, no, that one wasn't even really circle 2.
That was outside. It was probably outside circle 2. So she only made one putt from circle 2.
Golly, that's crazy.
And she was 73% from circle 1.
Yeah. Last player we'll talk about here in the throw pink is Holland Hanley. We interviewed her last week or 2 weeks ago, and man, just really, really rough start. The wind got her +3 in the first round. She starts at 13th place round 1, and just some odd mistakes. Just couldn't really get it going. Follows it up with a 7 strokes better, -4 round 2. She jumps into round 3. Okay, consistency. And then the final day, she pops out a -9 and jumps 3 spots and finds herself with a top 4 finish. So really just never gave up. She knows that course. I mean, she won it last year. I had a lot of faith going into it. So kind of surprising to see her. She eagles hole 18 to finish the tournament.
Parked for eagle.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. So shout out there. And I lied. Last one here. Paige Pierce shoots an atrocious round 1, 2, and 3. Like over par, I believe, I don't even know where she was after round 1. She shot +10 first round.
Oh.
We're not, let's go on the ride here. Tied for 39th after 1 round. Out of the cash, +10. You're teeing off at like 7 a.m. Second round. Okay, we're like, okay, Paige Pierce moving. Okay, we're okay. She shoots, where's she at? I can't even find her. It's hard to find.
7 in the second round.
So, okay, that's a 17 stroke difference in the second round. What? We're not done. Round 3. She then shoots another -3. Okay, so she's back to even. She's now in top 12. Then she goes, I'm not done. We're going to finish hard. Shoots the hot round 11 under par. Final round to jump another 7 spots to go from 39th place to finish 5th. Insane.
Yeah. I mean, and that was a bogey-free final round for her too. So I
don't understand. Like whatever you ate, what was going there had to be something going on or just distraction. I don't know. It was so confusing to then go, wow, she shot terrible. She's out of it. And then push to almost a podium finish. If she doesn't shoot, I don't know. If she shoots even first round, she wins this tournament.
That's right. Well, dude, I don't know, man. Looking at the stats, I didn't watch her play round 1, but she was off the fairway most of the day. She only hit the fairway 60% of the time, and she wasn't scrambling and didn't get to circle 1 except for 3 times.
Yeah.
So it's like and it was the windiest day. I'm wondering if she made a shift to lighter plastic and then this wind picked up and maybe she's just not used to like 20-mile-an-hour gusts. I don't know.
Something.
And it kind of ruined her flights. But hole 12 alone, she took a 9 on hole 12 in round 1.
Oh my gosh.
3 out of bounds strokes.
Yep. Yeah. Hole 12 got some people's lunch. Got to shout out my boy, Austin Turner. He took a 10 on it first round. So good job, bud. Oh man. But yeah, USDGC throw pink. I mean, we love it. Should the season, we'll end this conversation here. Should the season have ended or should it continue after USDGC?
USDGC would be a really good final tournament. Everyone loves to play it. It's one of the best spectator events. It's great to watch, and everyone loves
like
it.
The end of the season.
It does feel like the end because it's a big tournament, right? And everyone wants to be a U.S. champion.
Yep.
But what they did with the Pro Tour Championships this year was really, really exciting.
Agreed. I agree. In the past years, I would have said no, but this year it delivered. It delivered. And we're done in Charlotte. So we'll be heading to, I believe, Virginia for the Pro Tour Championships next year. Is that next year or 2 years
New
ago?
London?
I believe so. I believe it's this. I believe it's next year. I'm pretty sure.
I think I heard that too.
Yeah. So, yeah, interesting thought, but definitely let us know in the comments below or send us a message over on Instagram what your thoughts are about USCGC. If it should be the end, it feels like it should. It's definitely better than going to play Hall of Fame Classic like they used to, which just felt so random. Like no one wanted to be there. We're tired, but we want to play Jackson, so different times. But when we return, we're going to be talking about the Pro Tour Championship and then giving our thoughts on the season as a whole. Going to do some player of the year conversation, most surprising, some first-time winners, and just talk about 2025, just a little bit of a snapshot of what's to come 2025 and who we think is going to be making a push. You listen to Park Podcast. We will be right back. The end of the disc golf season is upon us, but that means the off season is right around the corner. So we are running at DGA an end of season sale, and my goodness, we've run some sales before, but this one hits every single thing you would need in your game, from apparel to team discs to baskets. It's a deal on freaking everything out here. Zach, tell me about something you're excited about in this end of season sale.
Yeah, I've been looking for new baskets. One for myself. I wanted one of the like marksman style baskets just to hone in center of the chains for my putting. And so I was already looking at getting a mock shift because I like having the option of taking a full rack of chains or taking it down to that marksman style. And then I actually wanted to get my nephews a basket for Christmas. And so the mock light is perfect because they can pack it up. They can bring it to the beach. It's, stow and go type movement. And I'm buying them. It's going to happen. Like, you don't get a deal like this. It just doesn't happen.
For sure. And both the mock shift and the mock light are only $99. Crazy. I mean, absolutely incredible deal. So we're also looking at stock discs being 50% off, apparel and accessories 40% off. The team discs, as in the Tour Series and Signature discs, are 30% off. So really great deals all the way around to be able to wrap up the season, pick up some stuff for the end of season, heading into the off season to make 2025 the best disc golf season yet. If I say season one more time, I'm going to pass out. Head over to the end of season sale. Thanks y'all for supporting DGA. Use code PARKED to be able to get some money off later on. Appreciate y'all. Now back to the show. Welcome back to Parked Podcasts. Man, the championship has come and gone. This format freaking delivered. I texted in our group saying that exactly. I just said, wow, this format is literally delivering. I didn't expect it. This tournament has been, let's be honest, it's been kind of a fail. It's been kind of a lackluster. They've tried to figure it out, try to find an identity of it, changing the scoring, changing things. And coming into this, I was still a little hesitant. What are your thoughts now that we have finished it and also during it? Did they nail it? Is this the identity this tournament needs to hold on to?
I think it's pretty neat. I think starting, I wasn't as excited because I mean, I'm sure I've said it on here before. I'd like to see someone else win besides Gannon Buhr, but he's done so much work during the season that's what has given him this advantage. And so, but to see him start off with a 10-stroke lead over some people, like how there's no hope. Right. Like I would be playing and I was thinking like, there's no way that I could ever win with a 10-stroke deficit before we even begin. So I don't love that. I think if I were playing in that position, it would definitely be a little demoralizing. I'm playing like just for the heck of it. Yep. You're already in the cash. So I guess you're playing for cash at that point. But that's the only part that I think kind of tainted the beginning for me.
Yeah, and then guaranteed $2,000 to even make it. So I mean, that's winning a huge A tier to even make it.
And so that's what's pushing these guys to want to be in the tournament in the first place, right?
Mm-hmm.
You are guaranteed a pretty solid chunk of change.
Yeah.
And this is to get you through part of the off season too, you
For
know?
sure.
So you saw a lot of guys out there really pushing and tons of leaderboard changes, which was pretty
Mm-hmm.
exciting, especially considering how low some people started based
Right.
on their points. Now, as it kind of wrapped up, specifically for the men, I'm thinking
Mm-hmm.
mostly in men terms here, NPO. The spread of first place, second place, and then third place, and everybody else. I mean, that was a 10-stroke difference
It's
between
huge.
Ricky and Ezra in second and third.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes me think that that advantage for the men is too much. I think 10 strokes, 9 strokes is too many. Like no one will
Yeah.
catch those two guys with that much of a lead. At least I don't foresee that happening.
So I'll counter you though. I think the opposite. I actually liked it. And maybe it's because, I'm so used to watching things like Formula One and stuff where it's like first and second place are locked down. Top three are locked in. But hey, your team never has a chance to get into fifth place. But my goodness, if they get in the top 7, it's the freaking best day of the whole season. It had that feeling to me. The spread was large, but it created this small battles of, okay, third and fourth are really battling. And for this tournament specifically, it said third and fourth matters. You're talking thousands of dollars.
Very true.
Differential because of how much money was happening per position. So in this format, is it good to see, or sorry, not this format, in tournaments in general, is it good to see that much of a spacing? No. Do we see an FPO a lot? Yeah, that's just kind of how it is. But because of the stakes, because of the amount of money happening per position, every shot still mattered. It wasn't like it was like, I'm in 10th, I don't care anymore. 10th to 9th, you're looking at what, $1,600 difference or something crazy. So it's like, it matters. It was a different.
It definitely does.
You watch the tournament differently.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point because I was watching fourth place when Calvin and Isaac, because Isaac was climbing and Calvin actually caught up and did a pretty good job. But until the last putt of the tournament, he missed it. It was a $4,000 missed putt.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying.
Between solo fourth and tying for fourth. So you're right. That is a really valuable
between
takeaway.
Fourth and sixth, that's $1,500. Between seventh and ninth, $1,000. Like this is a serious difference. Like
that's pretty crazy because you don't think like, oh, I came in ninth.
Between seventh place and 10th place is 4 strokes, and that's a $3,500 difference.
Yeah. Okay. So that's, I get it. I get it now. It's I mean, it's almost
you don't
like
realize that in the moment,
grab.
But it's like, for sure it's a cash grab. I mean, it's the biggest tournament. And let's not move past this important thing that this is equality, that we are saying FPO and MPO have the same payout structure. Yeah. I think that's incredible. I understand that's not able to happen week to week with just on amount of players. That's where a lot of the money does come from. Yes, there are sponsors, but to see this tournament have $35,000 payout on both sides is incredible. It makes it worth it, especially for some of these FPO players that never have a chance to make more than $1,000 all year, yet they finish in the top 10 every tournament. Yeah. So I like that side of it. But circling back to how this actually played out, I mean, it was some craziness, some absolute craziness going on because it looked like Ricky Wysocki was just going to win. I said it in our group chat. I was like, just give him the trophy, dude. We finished. Did say that. I mean, after round 2, he's only up by 1, and we're like, oh, okay. Gannon and Ricky made this course look like a joke. Round 2,
so crazy.
12 under and 13 under.
Bogey free.
Those rated 1086 and 1092 bogey free at arguably the hardest wooded course in the world. One of them. Like, it was stupid.
I didn't realize that was a 1092 rated round.
Yeah. And 1086. Whoa. Yeah. I will say they made the last couple holes a little bit soft, but I like it because big problem with Nevin in the past was there's not a lot of viewership. But for the most part, this course is not shreddable. It's not. And watching what happened in round 2, the conditions were absolutely prime. You had 12 under from Ricky, 13 under from Gannon, Ezra Robinson shooting a 10 under as well. I mean, It was crazy. And then we jumped to round 3. And this is when I sent that text. I was like, yo, Ricky, just give him the freaking trophy. He is 6 strokes ahead.
Yeah, puts another 10 down.
Another 10 down. He is Gannon Burr level ahead going into the final round. Felt like the freaking victory lap at Portland or whatever it was when he won by 9.
Yeah.
It's over. It's absolutely over. And then the final round happens. And I got to be honest, I was not watching the front 9. I was going to play a practice round for a tournament I have in a couple weeks. And I was like, this is going to be boring. I'm, final round of the season. I'm kind of, we're tired, whatever. Well, then I started getting the some notifications from you guys and going, wait, what? Gannon's tied? What?
9 holes. That's all it took.
Happened? Talk us through what happened, because I didn't watch it live, but I saw it happen on the scores.
Yeah. So really, starting off on hole 1, Gannon puts it circle 2, right at the edge of circle 1, just about 35 to 40 feet. Cans a putt. Ricky misses his putt. So that's a stroke right there. That's all it took. There's 1. They both birdie hole 2. Gannon birdies hole 3. Gets himself into circle 2, makes his circle 2 putt. Ricky was off the fairway, off the tee, scrambling for his par, which he did get. He did get his par, but that's the second stroke separation in 3 holes.
Yep.
4, par. 5, Gannon gets his birdie. He parks it. So it was like almost nothing that Rick can do there. I don't remember what happened to Ricky on hole 5. It's a tough par 5. Easily could have been just a couple of things, but I know he was off the fairway at some point because it counted in his scramble. So again, Ricky was scrambling.
Yeah.
Hole 6, Ricky takes a bogey.
Yeah. Misses
his putt from circle 2. Gannon just gets his par. That's another stroke separation. 7, Ricky actually gets a stroke back. And then 8, 9, and 10, 4 strokes are given over from Ricky to Gannon over those 3 holes because Ricky misses the fairway on 8 going out of bounds and then doesn't scramble for his par. So he takes a bogey. Gannon gets 3 birdies in a row. And that's all it took.
Yep.
That's everything. Gannon had the lead after 10 holes.
Crazy. Absolutely insane.
6 down, 6 holes or 6 strokes behind. So it really was that fast. It seemed like Ricky wasn't in it. He just didn't have that like killer mentality. But I'll be honest, man, out on this course, it seems impossible to stay that hot for that long.
I agree. It's gotta bite you eventually. And this is a course that when you play aggressive, you get punished.
Yeah.
And also you play safe, you get punished.
It's like hard.
It is so difficult. And I like that it is a long course and it's wooded. It feels, this is the most disc golf-esque one of the courses we play. It really does challenge across what we talk about world championships and how important it is to have an open course and a wooded course of who really is the world champion. This course feels like it's 2-1 sometimes. Like it really does have that feeling. And I agree. It had to come to a slow at some point. Ricky shooting multiple double-digit rounds was unheard of. He himself, I believe, or it was Gannon, said, I think it takes a couple or 7 unders and you win the tournament. If you can shoot 30 under, you win this tournament. Like,
pretty rough, dude. On like to see it happen that quickly. And then once he smelled blood, the Gannon's not going to slow down. He only gets better. He gets more lucky somehow. I don't know how he's become the luckiest disc golfer in the world.
I can never stop thinking of him hitting the freaking pole on 17 at European Open. I can't, like, that is the luckiest thing. And it's true. He just kept getting luckier and luckier and luckier. His forehand from jail on the par 4, I forget what hole that was, with this roller disc, understable forehand standstill.
Out of the woods?
I've played that hole and I got a 5 on it both rounds that I played that, or all 3 rounds I 5'd it, I think. and they were all three of them were circle 2 like big putts, and those were the best putts I hit all. Like saving a 5 was like, oh my god, what was that second shot? It was Heiser flipped to roller.
He's never thrown that disc on forehand before.
The broadcast, I think it was Nate. He was like, he could stand there and throw that exact disc 10 times, and he would never do that again.
No,
like it was crazy. I mean, he was absolutely, the trees weren't there, but also it doesn't go without saying that there were a couple holes out here that Ricky just didn't figure out.
Yes,
I believe it was hole 10. Is it hole 10? Short, one of the shortest holes, easiest hole in the course, I believe. That was this turnover backhand or a hyzer flip or a flip up forehand. And he never birdied it.
It was 15.
Was it 15 I'm thinking of?
15. He didn't get a birdie ever.
Yeah, it's 15. Sorry. Hole 10 is a different one. Yeah. He didn't birdie it. And it's like he just couldn't figure it out. He tried the forehand the final round and still just couldn't do it.
He couldn't even get to circle 2.
No, it was crazy.
He was on the fairway rounds 1, 2, and 3, and then off the fairway in the final round.
And like I said, I've played this course. I threw a forehand there. Hilarious, because I actually did throw a felon years ago. In your face, Ricky. I got into circle 1 2 out of 3 times.
Yeah.
I don't know what the problem was. You watched Nicolas Antola throw the backhand to perfection a couple times where he put it so much wider and let it work across. But Ricky just couldn't figure that hole out. So you talk about him birdieing that hole, say he birdies it 3 times, it's game over. The fact that it's very rare that a player at Ricky's caliber doesn't figure out a hole over 4 rounds and 3-4 practice rounds. That's so
and it's only
weird.
350 and it's downhill. It's like Ricky could probably on paper throw a harp and get it there. Right. Yeah. So it is a little interesting that he, like, while he was just absolutely destroying the course, there were a couple of little like ticky-tack type things that just kept him from climbing enough. And then, I mean, when you think about it, by the end of it all, I mean, he did turn up the heat. He got 14, 17, and 18, and Gannon got 15, 17, and 18. But like,
looking back at that hole 15, Gannon got hole 15 3 out of 4 rounds.
Yes. And the announcers were saying this is the hole that's going to make that's going to give Gannon the lead. They were tied after hole 14.
Yep.
And they said, well, here's a hole that Gannon has birdied and Ricky has not. And that's exactly what they did. I think Sexton was the one who was like, I don't think Ricky's going to do it unless he makes a change. And then Rick tries the backhand for the first time, screws it up.
Agreed.
I was pissed.
Or forehand for the first time. Yeah.
No, he went backhand in the final round.
On 15?
On 15. He tried it.
Other way around. He went forehand. He went backhand every single time.
Are you sure?
He kept throwing the turnover mid and it was clipping early, and he went forehand and still didn't get it. It was worse. Which I thought was weird.
That is weird. It seems like it
doesn't make sense to me. Yeah, I'm like 98% sure it was, but it's like still, you would think the opposite though. You would think he would have gone forehand the whole time
because it's thrown backhand shape. Yeah,
but it doesn't. So I don't know. It's very weird. Your name's on the felon. Just throw a forehand flip up. I don't get it. So yeah, that definitely was the straw that broke his back for sure. But again, it was like for the first time all season, we watched Ricky Wysocki look tired, look dejected, look like nothing's going my way. Woe is me. I'm frustrated. Instead of it's not over. Instead of, man, I've pushed all year. I can keep pushing.
Yeah. I mean, I will say when he hit those big putts, he was going way bigger than he normally does because he felt it.
Yep.
Like I forget which circle 2 putt it was. Maybe it was 11.
There's so many of them. It's hard to.
I think it was 11, which was like the last circle 2 putt that he hit in that final round. He was going crazy.
Yep.
I mean, even like his putt on 7 from 60, almost 70 feet.
Yep.
He was very hype. He knew
11. Also, he knew that was a 2-stroke swing because Gannon airballed that hole. And that hole, I threw a squall in that hole. Heiser flip to just push to the right. They throw putters in that hole. I don't understand like how that happens. And also watching Gannon airball and go 100 feet down that hill was crazy. Like seeing Gannon airball shows that the difficulty of this course, like shows the speed control. This course has tight wooded lines, but it's speed control, but it's not skipping, but it's not wavering left and right. Like it is so freaking hard. I'm mentally still emotionally just hurting from playing that tournament last year, but
it's an amazing course.
It's absolutely incredible.
And I like the changes that they make to it.
Agreed.
It makes it more of like a pro championship level course for sure.
Yeah.
And it provides these swings. Like at the end of the day, we have to have stroke swings or else things aren't exciting. It's just birdie fest.
Yep, for sure. And I think I don't know, the birdie fest happened more than we expected here for sure. Totally. But let's go back real quick too, because Ricky called Gannon on a time violation on hole 9.
Yes.
And that really, like, the commentators talked about it. It changed the momentum. It changed the vibe. It changed. Oh, they're cutting up, still talking, whatever. You saw them kind of enjoying it. Like, oh, you're killing it. Me too. Through those first 3 rounds. Round 4, when Ricky started playing, let's be honest, pretty shit and just like was not doing it. He started to get a little more frustrated, and you saw it on coverage. He literally was like, "Hey man, that was like a minute, dude." Like he didn't even say, "Hey, that's time violation." That was a minute, dude. Like straight up the way he said it. And it was like, ooh. And then right after that, he throws the upshot, and then Gannon hits a huge putt halfway through the flight. You don't hear Gannon get fired up very much, but he clapped his hands and was like, "Come on," like, or whatever he said, and just nailed the putt. And then you have Ricky do the next thing on 11, like we just talked about, the excitement. Like there was a passion and like we're no longer friends for these next 12 holes that you really haven't seen out of either of those players this season.
Yeah, it was, I mean, to say that it was intense is like a disservice because it truly was the most tense. And even I think it was Brian Earhart on the ground was like, yeah, Ezra Robinson a couple holes ago just leaned over to me and said, "Oh, this is so exciting.
Like, this is so exciting." Yeah.
Because I mean, he wasn't in the hunt for it.
10
and he
strokes out of it. Whatever.
He was pretty clear of 4th place too at that point. So they were just watching a crazy battle unfold before them. And it really was. I mean, 2 of the best players in the world, which we already knew. They came into this tournament as number 1 and number 2. But I don't know, man. This is the crazy thing is that after 4 rounds, they had the same amount of strokes. The same average. Everything was exactly the same. But because Gannon had 1 stroke advantage coming into the entire tournament, that is what kept us from a playoff. I think there are people
less than 200 points on the season. And when you think about it, it's the way the points played out. That's like 2 tournaments. Say Gannon doesn't win 2 of the tournaments he played, they tie and we go to a playoff. That's where this format delivers. And he mentioned it in the acceptance speech, in the victory speech.
Yeah.
He realizes it and said, "I won by 1 because of how hard I played this year."
Yeah.
And right then and there, if you didn't believe it yet, that's where the points actually did matter. As much crap as we gave the Pro Tour this year on this podcast saying like, what are we really playing for? Who cares for an extra stroke or 2? It freaking mattered. Yeah. With this, Gannon also becomes he ties the largest comeback in a final round of Pro Tour history of 6 strokes comeback. I'm not sure who he tied it with.
I think it was Kristen.
Was it Kristen? Okay.
I think so.
And then he also becomes the first player in PDGA history to crest $200,000 in winnings. I don't know how taxes look like as a PDGA pro, but hope you've been saving, bud, because that is crazy.
After signing whatever he's just signed this deal with Discmania, I don't think he'll ever really have to hurt for money.
No, definitely not.
The fact that he's winning this much is just insane.
And when you look at how much money that is compared to a couple of players, I think we talked about it earlier this year. Some players you're like, yeah, I know that name. Yeah, they have a good presence. Then you look at it and like, oh, they've made $12,000 this year. And they're a notable household name. And
or like consider that career earnings. Calvin Heimberg is at like 460,000 career earnings.
Yeah.
And Gannon has done almost half of that in a season.
Still 19 years old, by the way.
That's right.
Like unreal. So
What?
but well deserved. He makes up 6 strokes in 9 holes. There were 12 exchanges of strokes between Gannon and Ricky in the final round, and 3 2-stroke swings. It was crazy. He battled like never before for it against not even arguably the best final round player.
Yeah.
If Ricky's chasing you, you are losing. If he is within striking distance. And to see Ricky melt like this was hard to watch.
It was.
His second place speech was the saddest, most frustrated, emotional, sad boy Ricky we've ever heard. He's usually chipper, happy-go-lucky, hey, it's a great tournament. He was pissed. I thought he was going to cry. I actually thought he was going to cry, like on the verge of tears. And I get it. I'm someone like, I'm an emotional guy. Like in sports, I've 100% cried after a loss. But like Ricky doesn't do that. He's very professional. He's composed. But he got up there, man. Ooh, like he was like, the first thing he said, he goes, I'm gonna be honest, I'm really frustrated. The emotions are still there. I'm still feeling it. Thanks for the tournament. And then whatever. He didn't thank a sponsor. He didn't say, hey, played it better. He was just done in the car, like ready to go, walked straight out.
It's a hard way to end the season, man.
Mm-hmm. Especially
since,
because he would have been 3-time.
Yeah.
Like
the first to do it too. I mean, he had so many like almosts this season, right? Especially to close like the final 5 or 6 tournaments. He came in second place at D-Glow, second place at Green Mountain Championships, third place at MVP, fourth place at USDGC. And for him to not be able to close just one of them, that just eats him alive.
And the open wound that is still the European Open. And who was that against?
Sure.
Losing by 1, Gannon Buhr. That's what I think. I don't even think Ricky thinks about anything except the big ones. I don't think he cares. The other ones, it's like, yeah, he's pushing forward at whatever. But like, when he looked at that scoreboard and knows I lost to 1, all he could think about was European Open. Like that's
especially with 6 strokes,
dude. Yeah,
that hurts. That's like losing in the 9th inning. Yeah. Oof.
It's crazy. I mean,
I feel for him, dude.
For sure. But yeah, I mean, we could talk about this for hours to go, but it's weird to see it happen to Ricky in this way at this tournament that he has so much dominance at. My heart hurts for him. I wanted him to. We talked about it at the beginning. I mean, Ricky's winning worlds. We were like, this is his year. This is the year of a major. But let the storylines continue because we finished 2024 without Ricky winning a major, which is crazy. Once again, so 2025, you better be working in the off season, Mr. Gannon Buhr, because Ricky's sleeping 8 hours a night on the dot, and the other 16 he's going to be working. Not a doubt about it. But let's move on to our third place finisher, Ezra Robinson. Man, we've said it all year long. When is the win coming?
I know.
It didn't come. But arguably greatest tournament he played. Just so confident all week long. The putting was absurd. The power hitting gaps. This felt like an Ezra Robinson just masterclass. And he beats his brother by 4. So they're going to hold on to that for the rest of the offseason. Sure. So, and I believe with his third place finish, he was very close to making the same that his brother made at Worlds, which is pretty funny.
Oh, wow.
12,000. What did he make at Worlds? No, Worlds was 30K. I'm crazy. I was thinking that it was the other way around. Sorry, okay. FPO was that way. I was like, wait a second. Yeah, because FPO was only 17. I was like, wait a second. No, but that being said, still holding over your brother. But Ezra Robinson, what a freaking tournament. What a way to finish off a season without a win, but to do it in the way that he did, to where he can be present enough to be like, I'm excited to watch this, but still killing it. Like, that's so cool. I love the personality of him on the course. And he was the third best player on tour, in my opinion, this year. He really was.
Yeah, it was a sneaky season for him, I think. We kind of called for him a couple times to get his first win. We wanted him to get it, but it was kind of coming down for him on the final rounds. He would be up in the top few on lead card, and then we saw him missing like 28 footers. and you'd see it come out of his hand, and he would just immediately like turn around or look down, or he was just like, I don't know how that just happened. What is wrong? He just couldn't
It's
figure out a
nerves.
couple
He
of
just couldn't
things.
close it out.
It was a lot of nerves, and that's gonna decrease over time. He's definitely one of my picks for like to improve in 2025. He's definitely on my radar.
Yep. But heck of a tournament. Well, let's do this. Let's jump over to FPO real quick, and then because a lot of these next guys we're going to talk about are going to be kind of the season recap, and they're kind of in that conversation. So I don't want to give up too much information just talking about this tournament alone. So let's jump over to FPO, where Missy Gannon becomes once again big money Missy when it matters most. She becomes the only FPO player to win more than one of the Pro Tour Championship. Takes home $35,000 herself. And this one was close between the top three, was close back and forth so much.
Yeah.
I mean, it really did look like it was going to be a lot closer than what it was. And then it just spread out, and then it stayed closer and to the wire with not just the top two.
Well, it's crazy because Missy really didn't start off very hot. Her first round was
start with the most strokes. So
correct. That is true. She had the most strokes going into this. 2 strokes over Kristen, which we'll talk about in a second.
Yep.
She started off -1, -5. So through the first 2 rounds, had the same score as Kristen after 1 round. All things equal without the advantage strokes, right? Kristen shot a -6 in round 1. Missy -1, -5. Kristen -6, -6. So she was 6 strokes ahead as far as actual strokes thrown. But then in round 3 is when Missy kept getting better and Kristen actually got worse.
Yeah.
Right? Missy got -8 and climbed very far. Kristen -4. She took a couple of strokes extra to finish that round. And then the final round is where they went into it tied.
Yep.
And Missy shot a -9 over Kristen -7. So it really was the final round for these ladies. And Missy started off hot, birdie, ended up with 5-6 birdies through the first 7 holes. Right. So like she was ready to go. And she was executing. She was making her putts. She made tons of good putts. Honestly, her birdie percentage alone was just crazy. And I mean, she wasn't having to make huge ones, but I mean, there was circle's edge on hole 2, circle's edge on hole 4, circle's edge on hole 11. Like all of these putts she had to hit. And Kristen was there the whole time. Although I don't know, Kristen did seem more frustrated during this like final end of the season than I think she's maybe ever looked. Pretty defeated, like literally hanging her head after a bad shot. I don't know.
We saw that at Worlds too. And I think it's the slow realization that her dominance is becoming less. And it's a good thing for the sport. It's a good thing for the division. It's a good thing to not see one person win it all. But when you're that person and you're used to winning and you're used to showing up, executing week after week after week, and you don't, yes, statistics go, yeah, but you won all those things. It doesn't matter. You can hold on to it. But you look at, you and I've shouted this before. You look at a quarterback from Alabama years ago that hasn't lost a game since he was a starting quarterback in 8th grade. And you go, wow, you've never lost a game in 9 years or whatever it is. And it's like, you don't know what that feels like to not be the best. So I think she started to feel that. And this offseason, she's going to feel that more. And as the division grows, she's going to start to realize either people have caught her floor, I think is what's happened. Her floor was above everyone else's ceiling for the last couple of years. And finally, if she is not playing above her floor, she's getting caught.
Yes.
And it says a lot about the work that's been put out. We talked with Holland last week about it. Like there are women who are putting in just as much work as the top players, if not more, because they realize they want to and they can be at the top of this division. And I think she started to feel that. And you saw similar to Ricky, wow, I didn't do this and I thought I had it in the bag.
Yeah.
So Yeah. So we head down to the final, couple holes of this, and it's still anyone's game. I mean, we're heading into, I think, what was it? Looking back at it, it was still 2-stroke or still 1-stroke until, was it 13 or 14 is when we kind of started to see a little bit of a falter there from Owen, because Owen was in the conversation and was leading the tournament.
Yes.
For what, a third of the round at least.
Yeah. I don't think it was until maybe even like 15. Where was she? Hold on. After round 3, she had a 1-stroke lead.
Yeah.
Going into the final round.
Mm-hmm.
So
because Missy took a 7 on hole 18, where Owen and Kristen, so there's 3-stroke swing there.
Right.
If she just pars there, Missy starts the final round with a 1-stroke lead.
So let's see.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly where it was, but the conversation being, and the point we were kind of making and continuing on here is Missy wasn't really, I guess she was playing very well, but Kristen was also matching her, and Owen was too, until we got into this like hole 13.
It was basically hole 14. Yeah, hole 14 and 15 is what really started to make the separation for Owen.
Yep.
And she could not get a birdie on those last few holes until hole 18. And even then it was just the luckiest pick I've ever seen in my life.
Dude. Oh, okay. We'll jump to hole 18 here, because we went into it with with Missy having 2-stroke swing, or 2 strokes heading into the final hole. Or was it 3 strokes? I think it was 3.
2 over Kristen.
2 over Kristen. Okay. Yeah. What was it? That was
and
3.
Owen, actually.
Yeah. No, it would have been 3 because they finished.
You're right.
Finished 2-stroke swing. Yeah. So she finished 2 strokes ahead. Sorry. It's been a long day, boys. So she heads into the final hole with 3 strokes. But like we just said, her double bogeying a 7 on this hole, where the 2 people she's got 3 strokes over got a 3-stroke swing on her 24 hours before. They were thinking about, we could have a playoff on our hands.
Yes.
She did not play this hole well in the round 3. And we talked about it with Ricky. When you try to play safe on this course and you haven't practiced safe, it's not easy. Hole 18, thankfully, you're in the field and stuff, but there is that Mando, like, you have to get to a different position and you have to jump across these islands in ways that you didn't practice. So kudos to Missy to be able to play the hole completely different than she had practiced, and down the stretch be able to do that. And she closes it out, wins by 2. And it was crazy to see her shoot 9 under in that final round. Like,
it was hot, man. I mean, I'll be honest. I think Missy has one of the biggest advantages to have Tom always right next to her as her caddy, as her like grounding force. I don't know if there's a better duo than
Owen's got her husband there, but
yeah, I don't know, man. It seems different. The energy between Owen and Justin versus Missy and Tom, it seems different. Like, even with Silver and Kristen, like, Silver's a touring pro. I don't think it's the same. I don't know why. The way that they talk, the way they communicate looks different. I think, honestly, the next best one, in my opinion, would be Proctor and Evelina. Proctor on Evelina's bag. Right. Because you were talking about hole 18, and a lot of those decisions were between the 2 of them. It wasn't just Missy getting her distance and choosing her shot. It was a full conversation every time she had to make a decision.
It was.
Even in the woods, I don't know. It's a huge advantage. Missy just knows how to win. When it comes down to it, she has this clutch factor. Every throw she took on hole 18, if you go back and watch any of the coverage, she'll close her eyes. You see her take a deep breath. She opens, looks at her line, and makes her shot. Every single throw. That's not what everyone would have in their head in that moment, where it's like, all right, pressure's on. Are you going to close your eyes and relax?
Yeah.
Or are you going to overthink?
She's so present.
Do more practice shots, right? Like, it's just, she's got that gene where she knows how to do this. She's won the championships before. She's been in the situation so many times that now it's just, let's execute.
I agree. And when Missy has won, I think back to MVP Open, she wins when her putting gets hot on the back nine. On the back nine of the final round, when she hits a couple of these circle two putts, it's very similar to Ricky. It's very similar to this. Once that momentum gets going and that little bit of confidence starts happening from that circle two, it's over. It's freaking over. I think back to it was a hole 17 at MVP Open when she hit that 40-something footer on the raised basket. You were just like,
oh,
it's
my
over.
gosh.
Like
yes.
the confidence in when those start to fall, it's unbeatable. It is truly unbeatable. So Missy Gannon wins it. And man, the jump for like a similar to second to go ahead.
I was going to say again, she wins, but with the 2 strokes that she gained on Kristen. And think about this. Own only had a 7-stroke advantage. She was -7 to start the round. So Own, without any of the advantages, wins by 1.
Yep. And Missy gets those strokes at MVP Open is when she won the Pro Tour Championship on hole 18.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it matters. This format freaking delivered.
Dude. I still don't know if I like it. I'm going to be honest.
I don't know.
I still don't know.
It delivered in the drama.
It
Do I
does.
like
it's
it?
very dramatic.
Yeah.
And it's an accumulation of the entire season, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cool thing. But like, would I have wanted to see Own win by 1? Yeah.
Of course. But I also think if this format would deliver more, if we had the capability to follow more than just the top 2 cards, we would be able to see these little battles going on. We'd be able to see, wow, Hannah Wynn and Kat Merchant-Ella Hansen, they battled the 3 of them in that pocket. That's just an example. That might not be true, but the 3 of them were battling and were on cards together all year long. They were on that 3rd, 4th card together every single week, and they developed their own rivalries, their own. I know I'm never going to beat, Evelina at Worlds, but I know that I know I'm going to be in the conversation trying to beat Haley King. Like those, those storylines happen because the Pro Tour is so small. The people that are out there are week in, week out, and they're playing with each other on the same cards. If you're on that same kind of caliber, you develop your own little rivalries, and we don't get to see that as much as you do in other sports.
It would be really nice to have what ball golf has of like, you have at least 1 camera on every hole.
I mean, that's a big ask, but
of course
I agree.
Of course it is. But like, how nice would it be where at any moment we can watch the ace that happens on the 2nd card of the day? No one has a camera out there unless it's a spectator or, someone walking along. So it would be really nice just to have an opportunity for it. But yeah, it's we are just focused on the top as far as spectating at home or even like post-production. Like, we don't see anything else. So
definitely not.
It is interesting, but especially here, those really matter. I think this would be the tournament that makes it matter the most. Some of the other tournaments, like, we don't need 1st card of the day on camera, maybe,
as the sport grows, I think it will, because you do have, players that have a big, social media following, that do have a big name for themselves. Think about the cards. If Simon's on a card, there's a huge gallery.
There's a gallery for sure.
He may be on 7th card, still a gallery.
Yep.
Paul,
same
right.
thing.
There are these names that are going to do that. So anyway, Pro Tour Championships, it delivered for sure. Last thing I want to say, Owen Scoggins, the funniest hole 18 I've ever seen. She absolutely, I don't even know why she's throwing a backhand on that hole. Like, throw a forehand around the corner, put it under the basket. Her upshot to be tied for 2nd, yanks it, smacks the freaking Mando cement pole, and shoots it over the border, the sponsor border, which is a good, like, almost foot high, and puts it to bullseye.
Literally to the bullseye. She shanked it easily 40 feet to the right.
Easily. And she busted out laughing, fell down backwards
on
laughing.
the ground.
Like, I literally watched it and went, oh, what the, like, what happened? Like, worse than AB into the bushes on 11. Like, worse than that.
And she stole probably $4,000, $5,000 from Kristen because they tied at that point. Yeah, that was wild.
And it would happen to It would definitely happen to Owen. No one else.
And she deserves it more than anybody else.
Oh, God, it's so funny. There was at one point she was asking for opinion to run it from the crowd.
That's right.
Like,
I should run it, right? I should run it, right?
Yeah. Okay. Like,
okay, let's do it.
It's crazy, man. It's
so
crazy.
good.
Yeah.
I have one honorable mention here.
Okay.
My honorable mention is Silva Saarinen.
Mm-hmm.
Silva was first in 3 very important categories here during this tournament: C1X putting, strokes gained, C1X, and strokes gained putting in general. All of her putting was absolute lights out. She missed 2 Circle 1 putts on the entire tournament out of 43 putts from C1X.
Crazy.
Only missed 2 of them. One in the first round, one in the final round.
And she came into this tournament with only 2 strokes.
Right.
She started this tournament 8 back from Missy Gannon. Again, it didn't happen, but you remove that, and she only loses by 3.
It's pretty eye-opening to see who's able to climb that much. Because she jumped a lot of really great players.
Yeah, for sure.
And she kept it up. Her final round wasn't amazing, but I mean, shooting a couple of 7 unders, we only saw like the top few people able to do that. So really nice to see. Obviously she wanted a little bit more out of her final 9 on that last day. She took a lot of bogeys on that final 9. But fun to see her play. I hope to see her more. Of course we'll see her more, but again, the Finns.
Yeah.
The Finns, dude. Henna, Evelina, and Silva, like so much fun to just watch them out here shredding together.
No doubt.
It's a really cool thing.
Agreed. Well, after a long season, I think probably the longest season of disc golf ever, and this exhausting last couple of weeks of majors and huge tournaments and playoffs and all the things, we have made it to the end. So season recap. Every episode, we don't do this off full memory, most of it, but we have a nice little doc here where we walk through, what's going to be happening and, some stats and whatnot. Zach has his composition notebook like a little cutie pie. But I still can't believe you did that. It's great. I put in a couple things here in the doc, and I'm saying this because there's no notes. This is not something I want to talk about off of stats. This is something that I want to talk about and have opinions here. And those things are for MPO and FPO. Player of the year, most surprising season, good or bad, first time winners, and 2025 is their year. And the first time winners could be, hey, they won for the first time, or the opposite, really expected them to win for the first time. So let's do this. Let's go back and forth, MPO and FPO. Let's start FPO here. We just finished talking about it. Player of the year, FPO. First thought, who is it?
I think it's Holland.
Really?
I think so, man. She's just had such a consistent year. I don't think she finished outside of like the top 16. And that's only one. She didn't finish outside the top 10 except for one.
Yeah. That makes sense.
Several third place, several second place. She got her win at Beaver State. She got her win at Ledgestone. Got her win at D-Glow.
Yep.
Although Missy wins in the Pro Tour points in the standings and like won the championship, I think
Missy won USDGC, US Women's as well, didn't she?
She did win US Women's.
Yeah. And again, this is who is Zach's player of the year and who is Mitch's player of the year. This is not PDGA player of the year because is what it is.
There's a lot of votes that happen there. Yeah. Okay. I think I just love to see what she was able to do from last season to this season. I think she's my pick.
Okay. My pick, FPO, we'll jump through these pretty quick. My FPO player of the year is Evelina Solomon. I think the monkey on her back in a lot of players is, oh, you haven't won yet. For her, it was, you haven't won when it mattered. She's won, and she's, won majors in the past, all the things, but to win Champions Cup, nearly win European Open, and then win Worlds, I mean, it's ridiculous. She's the only player in the FPO division that won 2 majors this year. And as the worst putter there is. Like it's crazy. Like it's absolutely crazy that she's defying what is possible. And I think she learned how to play around her game. And we say it again and again, but this year in this offseason specifically, if she learns how to putt, if she finally listens to everyone and learns how to putt, she will be the best player in the year. She'll be the best player in the world. She will.
True. It's so true.
And so for me, she's the player of the year because she overcame more adversity internally and on the course, but still had the results. And it's crazy to me. MPO player of the year. Go for it. Choice.
Let me look at.
No looking at. This is just going for it. Who's the player of the year?
Player of the year.
I'll go while you're thinking about it.
Yeah, you do it.
I don't want to say it, but it is. It's Gannon Burr. It's the player of the year. He's the player of the year. He's the player. I'll say it now. He's going to be the player of the decade. He is. This is a Michael Jordan level of it's a Paul Macbeth, but in a higher stakes. And it's wild. It is. Yeah. The clutch factor, the consistency, the growth, the change of game, the adaptability. Doesn't matter if it's open, it's over. He won all the 4-round tournaments of like regular season with flying colors. We haven't seen people win by the amount of strokes he was winning by back-to-back weeks in years.
Yeah, dude, he's basically the new like LeBron of disc golf.
Yeah, it's true.
And that's hard for me because like I'm the type of person where like I will respect those players, but I tend to not love them.
Oh, I hate LeBron.
Right? I'm not a LeBron fan, but good God, yes, I respect him. Right?
Yeah.
Like, I'm not a Derek Jeter fan, but I respect the heck out of Derek Jeter.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's those types of players who like player of the year. You can't give it to anybody else.
Yeah, I agree.
He pretty much dominated everyone.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right, going back to FPO, the most surprising season. This can be a good or a bad, not both. Most surprising season for you in the FPO division.
I've got one. Rebecca Cox.
Okay, I love it.
That's a good positive for sure. She had an outstanding season.
Yeah.
She started off really slow, and I mean, had some like, 13th, 14th, 15th finishes. But then it gets into the top 10 at Jonesboro, top 10 at Music City, top 10 at Dynamic Discs, Portland, Beaver State, Preserve, just missed top 10 at Des Moines, gets in at D-Glow, just off at Green Mountain Championships and MVP Open. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. She was playing so consistently. And like a lot of my thinking comes from playing fantasy disc golf where like players are giving you points. She would be a great player. Like later rounds, you pick up someone on FPO, and it just happens to be her. Great pickup for the season.
Love it.
So that's my pick.
Okay, mine is I don't know. Mine is going to be bad, and it's going to be Paige Pierce. And I think the reason for that is there were glimpses of Paige is freaking back. Her winning in Portland, her 5th place right before that at OTB. But then there was just these streaks of where'd you go?
Yeah.
Like, and it's just confusing. And then she gets 4th at MVP. I mean, we look at how she played throw pink. You're shooting plus 11 and then you're shooting minus 10 or whatever it was. Like, there was a lot of inconsistencies in her play. And I think for a player like her that has so much history, that is a 5-time world champion, I still think she has it.
Oh, for sure.
But you look at the Pro Tour Championship, she lost by, was it 20 something strokes? 29 strokes she lost by.
Yeah.
And we can play the game, take the strokes out of it. She still loses by 19 strokes.
Right.
Like, it's just surprising that her game still feels like it's all there, but I don't know if she just lost the fire or what it is, but I think I expected her to be closer to the top still with the level of her game.
For sure. So, it's just, we talked about it. It's the consistency with her. If she could find that, it'd be amazing. But, 10 over round ones, those aren't going to, that can't happen if you want to be, winning tournaments. So
not at all. And I'll continue the sad and say most surprising season on the MPO side is Eagle McMahon.
Yeah.
The hype of him coming in, he was still hurt in the beginning of the year. There was that, but the way he came in, dude, Champions Cup getting 90th, it was too early, takes the next couple things off, and then has this kind of like, okay, we're doing the thing. We're feeling okay in this like top 10, top 15. And he gets hot at Worlds, which was very surprising for him to, finish in the way he does. But he just like didn't ever fully connect with his discs, it felt like. There was a lot of mental and a lot of off the course things going on, I think, that were affecting him on the course, which was usually the opposite of Eagle. But I also think Eagle's growing up. I think he's getting to the point where making dumb videos with the Wind Dragon and just being himself. And there was a lot of off the course growth for Eagle. But when we're talking about the most surprisingly bad season statistically and how the season went for him, it was not good. There was a lot of hype and a lot that should have been there that was not.
Yeah, I would agree. It's hard to see because we know, again, what he's capable of.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just hard to kind of watch him struggle.
Yep.
But again, those are two players that come off of injuries. That's tough.
For sure.
That's tricky.
Who's your most surprising?
My most surprising. I know it was like an up and down season for him. I'm giving it up to Joey Buckets.
Okay. Yeah, I like it.
It's his first real like season on tour, like fully touring. So he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Gets his first win at Idlewild, which is like the first win event, is the place to win a first win. So he's on this trajectory that I really like. And you can tell he's learned a lot, and he's growing and making a name for himself on tour. People know who Joey Buckets is, right?
Yep.
You see a bucket hat walking around and everyone thinks about it. So I love what he did this season. I like the way he handles himself and carries himself. So I'm giving it up to Joey.
Okay. Love it. Let's stay on the MPO here for first time winners, because my first time winner pick was Joey Buckets. Was to see him win for the first time, and to do it when he was in the conversation so many times at places that I didn't expect him to be in the conversation. He was a player in 2024 that was a breakout. That was like whoa, he's in the conversation week after week after week on a course that was, wow, he played a wooded course last week. Okay, makes sense. Wow, he played an open course this week. Wait, he's still in the top 5? Like, he probably had more lead cards than most players that you would think of that weren't winning. Like, he was on a lead card at least almost every tournament. I feel like he was on a lead card at least one of the rounds. Yeah. So really cool to see, him kind of have a breakout year, make a name for himself, and honestly have a brand built into his nickname that really can come for years to come. And I get to play at the tournament this weekend with him at the Crucible. So that should be fun. Maybe I'll get on a card with him. So it'll be good. We'll see how I play, because he's definitely gonna play better than me, but we'll see. We'll see. What about for you? First time winner on the MPO?
James Proctor.
Yeah. Love it. Love it.
A guy who's been grinding for years and years, and he shows up at a couple Pro Tour events. When he, of old, he used to just pop in every now and then. And this season, he took down 2 pretty huge events, man. The Swedish Open and MVP, which
MVP is huge.
Talk about one of the sickest end of a tournament putts.
Yep.
Proctor on MVP, unbelievable.
Yeah, that was probably one of the highlights of the year. That's going to be at probably the end of the commercial for the hype video next year. Like that.
Dude, I hope so.
Was crazy
to have then also push. If you miss, you are now in a playoff with Paul Macbeth, which is basically a death sentence.
It's a loss.
Unless you're James Conrad.
Yeah.
And he clutches up and hits it not only for the first time, that he hit it the day before. So I love it. It was a great finish for him. As someone who we've seen and we know of, to finally be like fully on tour and to get his first win was so cool.
Yep. Let's jump over to FPO. For me, it's Holland Hanley. Going from so close so many times to getting her first win this year, then doing it again and again at some big tournaments and getting second place in the Pro Tour standings. I mean, dude, it's impressive to see the growth. We talked with her on the podcast last week, and to hear the changes that she's making off the course and on the course as well, and the consistency that she's had to do it, and some huge moments that really stand out. That putt that she had at Beaver State. I mean, it's crazy. So that's mine for FPO.
Yeah, I was gonna put Evelina in the slot. I
Okay.
know she's your player of the year, but yeah, I mean, as a first time winner, like how can you not give it to her? Winning 2 majors, and winning like the first event of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, come on, coming out
Yeah.
hot. I loved watching her play this year, and I know it's cringy when she misses her putts, but good lord, when she is having it put all together, it
Mm-hmm.
looks like she's just playing simple, easy courses, and she's just here it is. I'm just
Mm-hmm.
smashing drives and
Yep.
putting it in the basket.
Yeah. It's weird to think. I was like, has she won? But she hadn't won in the Pro Tour, but she did win the major when it was what was it? What is the one that she won years ago? What was it? The the European one that's in the Czech Republic. That was the other major that she won. Wasn't it? Or was my Kona Piste? Is that what I'm thinking of?
Oh, maybe it was.
Or am I
She's won
thinking
like
of
Finnish
she's won
nationals.
Finnish? But you're right though. It was her first win, was her first Pro Tour win. I'm looking back through, and it was that, which is crazy to think.
Yeah, Finnish nationals,
Yeah.
and she didn't have any number 1 wins last year. So,
Yeah, it is true.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, wait, yeah, but that is true. It doesn't feel like it, but yeah. And then to go and freaking win Champions Cup and Worlds,
and Worlds, dude. Like, I'm
come
looking at
on.
the PDGA.com right now, and to see her on PDGA.com is really freaking cool.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, here we go. Into the 2025 is their year, but before we get there, honorable mention of, like, there's not a category here, but honorable mention for me on the MPO side is Isaac Robinson, because I did not think he was going to win the Worlds this year. This course made no sense to me for
Yeah.
him to play as well as he did on the open course. And other than that, his season was very lackluster and was kind of a letdown, and felt like are we going to have a James Conrad situation where you had this amazing moment at Worlds and then where'd you go?
Kind of popped
I
down, yeah.
kind of felt like that was maybe in the cards, and it was until Worlds. So pretty crazy. And then he did stay in the conversation for the rest of the season. But yeah, that's my honorable mention
That's a
for
good
sure.
mention. I like that one.
Surprising to see.
2025 is their season. I mean, we've kind of mentioned it, but I'm ready for Ezra to get Ezra Robinson
Yep.
to pop off,
Love
get a
it.
win, and like really stay in the top next season.
Love it. Okay. For me in the 2025, that was going to be mine, but my second one is James Proctor was mine for 2025. I think he has every bit of it. He's now toured the whole year, played everything, gotten, the consistency going. I think he's going to have could have a multi-win year next year if he really does, stay in it. Because you think about last year, he was in the conversation all the time. He was the Joey Buckets of last year.
Yeah,
He
that's
was in
true.
the conversation when you didn't expect him to be, but just like couldn't really make it happen. So he's mine. On the FPO side, 2025 is their year. Who you got?
It's a hard one.
It is. It's difficult.
Oh man. Shoot. I honestly, like, I know I kind of like dropped her name earlier, but I think Silva's gonna come back with
Okay.
some more
Love it.
consistent golf.
Love it.
She's the type of person that just stays so locked into like her game and what's happening right in front of her. I
Yep.
love what she does. As a spectator, maybe some more emotion could be
Yeah.
cool, but it's golf. So I like it. I love her game, and I think it's really clean and really simple. Her form is great. I'm ready to see her pop off.
Yep. For me, my 2025 is her year is Cat Merch. Cat
Nice.
Merch, I mean, her run at Worlds was absurd. I
Mhm.
mean, she had so many top 10 finishes this year. I mean, at European Open as well, top 5. I
Yep.
mean, she was in the conversation. We jumped to Champions Cup here. She was, forget I said that, 47th. But either way, there were so many moments for Cat Merch this year that she was in the conversation and was in control, but wasn't able to close it out. So I think there's a lot of learning that came from this year for Cat Merch. So, but yeah, I like that. I think that's something we should do kind of maybe beginning of the year, look back at this and go, okay, let's think about it and maybe, check back on this throughout the year. So, but that'll do it here. It's a long one. Finished it out. Pro Tour is over. The season is over. 2024 is in the books. Zach, do you have any parting words as we wrap up here?
Practice your putts, everybody.
Evelina, practice your putts.
Keep your hamstrings and your hips nice and loose.
Yeah.
Um,
What is happening?
as Fish likes to say, loose hips, big rips.
This is so
And,
good.
no, man, I don't know. I'm sad. Honestly, this is the part of the
Yeah.
season where I'm like, well,
Oh, yeah.
what?
Yep.
I'm so used to, at least in the next couple weeks,
Mhm.
having more frisbees.
Yep.
But
Same.
I think intentionality is going to be a thing for me over
Mhm.
the off season. Just making sure that, like, when I do choose to put time into the game, that I'm doing something that's going to actually, like, help me grow, and not just, oh, I'm going to go play a course
Yeah.
by myself and
Like
throw.
it. Yeah.
So that's my thing. If anyone wants to follow along, let's be intentional, team.
Yeah, let's do it. Love it. For me, man, last thoughts here is I'm just thankful to be able to do this with you week in and week out. It's been such a fun time. Thanks to DGA, thanks to Gage, like we said at the top, for all of the time put into this and believing in us here at Parked. That meant a lot this year. I'm thankful for all the opportunities to be going to Des Moines was one of the highlights of my year for sure. Being at USDGC and being able to work alongside DGA and alongside you, my brother, this year has just been one of my favorite things that I look forward to. So tearing up makes me in the feels, man, that we have the opportunity to do this means a lot. So I'm just thankful for it. I'm thankful for the sport and this is 15 years this year for me being in the sport. So it's a crazy thing to think that after all this, that I would be able to have the conversation and have people listen about it and care about what we have to say, talking about frisbees. Like, that's wild to me. That's not lost on me. So yeah, it's really cool. And I'm just thankful for the playing side of things. I'm putting in a ton of work off the course. I'm working on being stronger and in better shape and more than I ever have. So knowing that I want to go into next season injury free and being able to just pursue consistency next year. So, and I'm looking forward to hopefully another year and years to come with the same discs and not having to do that switch, because that was not an easy thing. But looking forward to many more years with DGA and just continuing to grow that. So looking forward to it. But yeah, that's it. Park Podcast in the books. Long episode to finish it, but yeah. Zach, close us out one last time, as we do, my friend.
Thanks for being here, everybody. We appreciate you listening. As always, peace, love, and disc golf, y'all.
We will see you guys sometime soon. Appreciate it. Peace.